Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Rowe on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. It's an extended chamber chat this morning, and with good reason. It's National Small Business Week. We got an overview this morning. Dan Swan joins us this morning, Partner Relations Manager with your Catawba County Chamber of Commerce. Also a couple chamber ambassadors who are small business owners. Mr. Dean Pritchett, the owner of Midway Carpet Distributors, and also Amber Nelson. She's the owner of Vibrant Visions Media. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Glad to have you. We appreciate you being here. Mr. Swan, I'm going to let you tell us about National Small Business Week. Give us an overview. Why is it important, and why do we need to pay attention to it?
Well, thank you, Hal. It's so important because small business is the backbone of our economy. National Small Business Week, it's May 4th through May 10th, and the United States Small Business Administration has celebrated this week for more than 60 years. They acknowledge the critical contributions of America's entrepreneurs and small business owners. And did you know, Hal, that North Carolina has ranked in the top 3 of the states that do business for the 5th year in a row? It's amazing. Yeah, there's 4,315 small businesses in Catawba County alone.
Wow. And 1.1 million small businesses in North Carolina. And of course, there's all kinds of designations for that. What makes a small business? What's a medium size? What's a large? But basically, we're talking about the backbone of business in Catawba County, it sounds like, and in North Carolina.
Absolutely. Nearly 87% of the Chamber Catawba County's 830 plus business partners are small businesses.
Let's talk with some of the folks who are involved in small business. We've got a couple of chamber ambassadors this morning. So tell me what chamber ambassadors are, Mr. Swan.
Chamber ambassadors are a volunteer extension of the chamber staff. They serve as volunteers. They're business owners. They work at businesses, etc. They're responsible for engaging, encouraging, nurturing, and expanding the relationships on behalf of the chamber. So we have 24 ambassadors, 2 of which we have here today that are small business owners. They each have a book of business, basically, from all of our chamber partners. They go out and contact them. They're just another touch point and extension of the chamber.
We've got Dean Pritchett joins us this morning, Midway Carpet Distributors. Your name is on the paper first for the notes that I got this morning, so we're going to start with you. Now, I got to tell you something. I've known you for a few years because you've been a Hickory resident and now an entrepreneur for the last few years. But something I did not know about you, I saw you when you came in this morning, you were wearing an Army hat. Now, I did not know that you served. You're a veteran?
Yes, sir. 1978 through 82.
Wow. So those, I'll just put it to interesting maybe time to be in the service?
Yeah, it was good for me. I wasn't ready to make decisions for college and this and that, but
right.
It taught me a lot of self-discipline and motivation.
Well, I did not know that about you, but nice to have you with us this morning. And as always, thank you for your service to our country, sir. Certainly do appreciate it. Well, let's find out a little bit about you. It says here on the paperwork that I've got, you've been a business owner for 30 years. But what first inspired you to do entrepreneurship? First of all, tell me about your business. What's your business?
Right now, I own Midway Carpet Distributor in Newton, North Carolina, which actually started in 1972. Same name, same location. I'm the 3rd owner of that.
Okay. Now, you didn't start there because what I'm seeing is tell me about where you started in small business in the area.
I was working for IFH. I was driving a truck in the mid-'90s, and my father-in-law at the time said, why don't you come work for me? And he was sort of retired, but he was a general contractor. And I said, what would I do, John? And he told me that I would be a supervisor on a job. And I said, I don't know anything about it. And he says, well, I'm going to hire a guy that's going to teach you.
Right.
And I said, what do I get? How much do I make? He said, what do you make now? And I told him, and he said, I'm going to pay you half that much, and you'll work twice as many hours.
Wow.
And so,
sounds like a value, but this is your father-in-law at the time. So.
He said, if you like it, you can make a career out of it, and if you don't, you can go back to doing what you're doing. So
right.
Anyway, I started, and the guy really did John a disservice. He would come in the morning and give me a list of stuff to do and leave, and I'd have to figure it out. And so I went and got my license, and he
general
gave me
contractor's license, right? Wow.
Yes, sir. He gave me a hand up. After I got my license, he had land everywhere, and he told me, go to the bank, secure your loan money for homes. He said, I'll sign the paper over for any land that you need to build houses on.
Wow.
And then you can pay me after the house sells for my land.
I did not know that.
So that's how I got started. It was fantastic.
So I hear this, but I don't know. I guess you still go buy homes that you built and feel a great sense of pride in that and take a look at that and say, wow, I had a lot to do with that, just about everything to do with that.
Every summer, my mother-in-law puts the whole family on a pontoon boat, and we have to go down the river, and I have to explain to everybody all the houses I built. And,
Really?
Yeah.
So you were doing a lot. You were doing a lot of work on Lake Hickory.
Yes.
So I was just talking about that. So that's got to be a great little travel for you there every whenever it is during the summertime. But on the pontoon boat. Now Midway Carpets. Now that's kind of what I'm known as, but it's Midway Carpet Distributors. Did this come out of learning about what was going on in the homes? You knew what was happening as far as flooring. You know what was happening as construction, and maybe you took a look at the carpet or the flooring and said, "This is an area where I can really excel."
Well, how that came about was, I was getting up in years, and I wasn't really interested in retiring. And carpenters, young boys, it's hard to find anybody that wants to work and learn.
Right.
And so I was discouraged, and I was getting kind of like nervous about climbing around in houses. My agility was gone, and so I thought, well, retiring in a home building business, you go home with your toys and you're done. There's nothing really to sell. And so I wanted to do something else, and so I ended up being introduced to the carpet store, and I wanted to build something to either sell for a profit or leave as a legacy to my kids.
So this is your small business today?
Yes, sir.
Very good. You're located in Newton. What local organization resources have you been working with that have been helpful for you as a small business? Because you were a general contractor for years, so you probably knew a lot of folks in the business. But tell me about some of the folks that you worked with who have helped you specifically with Midway.
Specifically with Midway, joining the chamber was a huge thing for me, because all the years of home building, I didn't advertise and I didn't network. Mostly I had referrals. And so I didn't do any of that type of stuff, no advertising. And so I joined the chamber and got involved and leveraged my huge network of people from the building industry. And I didn't think I'd like this, but I like doing chamber stuff. And so the chamber's been huge. And then I've been working a lot. Actually, the first time I met anybody at the Small Business Development Training Center, SBDTC,
right,
was in 2008. I met a guy named Byron down there, and he got promoted. He's now in Raleigh, but they are a fantastic resource for small business.
Absolutely. Tell you a lot of the stuff that you don't know until you get in there and talk to them. So SBDTC, great folks to work with, and of course the chamber. So it's nice to have you with us this morning, small business owner. We wish you continued success. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Hal.
You're more than welcome. Up next, Amber Nelson, owner of Vibrant Visions Media. Nice to have you with us this morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I own Vibrant Visions Media. We are a local marketing and advertising agency. We help with social media, website builds, logo design. We even do design work for flyers and stuff like that.
So a little bit to everything, right? You can start small and go big. You spent over 6 years working in advertising and marketing. What made you make that jump to starting your own business? Because starting your own business, that's a lot. That's a big commitment. Tell me about that.
So with my experience of working at the Hickory Daily Record for 6 years doing sales for advertising,
right,
I just realized I wanted to have more of a personal touch in working with my clients. And so I just decided to take the big leap and go out on my own.
Very good. How's that going for you? You liking it?
Oh, I love it. This is the best decision I ever made.
Because, you're HR, you got to do that part of it. You're the bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. You have all those different parts of it. And I'm going to ask you, this is not on the paperwork or anything, but I'm bad to do this. I just go off script all the time, which gets me in so much. But what's been the biggest challenge that you weren't expecting? Because you do I guess a business plan and you get everything together. And I don't know, we'll find out from you who you talked to and kind of how you worked with. But there's always something there. It's like, dang, I didn't think about. It's like I knew a guy who started a restaurant, had everything till that very first day. He's like, dang, I forgot about napkins. And it was one of those things that you just don't think about. And he was like, the first opening day, he had rolls of paper towels out for people to use. Thank heavens it was that guy. But he forgot about napkins. But how about you? What was one of the things that you felt was a challenge? You came into a small business and was like, oh, I forgot about, what was it?
At first it was just trying to be able to have a better workflow. When I was at the Hickory Daily Record, they had those programs that, you could use to help you keep organized and stuff.
Right.
And so I just had to figure out, at first, when I first started, I didn't think about having that. And then at a couple months in, I was like, okay, I need to have something to implement. That way I'm keeping organized and everything.
the
Just so-
workflow
yeah.
and allotting that time. Mr. Pritchett, right there on Highway 321, you're right up the road. Well, there's a couple builder supply places near you, but easy enough to find. Beautiful showroom up there in Newton. You said earlier, and this kind of interested me, that you didn't think you were going to like maybe going out and doing some of the chamber stuff. And here you are, a chamber ambassador. So I think sometimes we all get in maybe our own little silos, and we maybe work with, well, you said that you worked with people who were in the building supply. You were a contractor. So you worked with those folks. Now you're meeting, I guess, all kinds of different people and getting that opportunity. Tell me a little bit about getting out and about and the way that that's benefited you as a business and maybe you personally as well, and because you seem to like it.
Well, when I first thought about what do I need to do to bring business to the business, I never had to do that before. And I probably in the early 90s, I was in the Hickory JCs, and I did something with the chamber called Leadership Catawba.
Yeah. Oh, you done Leadership Catawba. Okay.
And so, and then after that, I had a big, long hiatus from the chamber. So when I rejoined the chamber, I said, I need to get involved. I need to leverage all the relationships I have with the building industry into my new thing.
Right.
And so, you can join the chamber and get the emails, or you can get involved. And so I decided to join a leads club.
Okay.
And they meet, there's a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. And I do the Wednesday. And so I met a lot of people. And the thing is, if you just meet somebody and shake their hand and give them a card and say, come buy something from me, that's never going to work. You have to build relationships.
Right.
And so that's what that's all about. And then they do the First Friday Brew, which is the whole chamber's invited once a month. And Lindsay, the big chief at the chamber, she has this thing called net giving instead of networking.
Right.
And you meet new people. And my goal is to have it, you meet 12 people if you do the program right. But my goal is to go deeper with one or two and get an address to write a handwritten note. I write a handwritten note. Thank you for meeting me and talking with me at the chamber. Let's get together for coffee. I'd like to learn more about you and your business.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what I do.
And I'm going to guess, business-wise, that's been a great thing. But personally, just getting to meet somebody and talk to them, you've probably met all kinds of very cool, very nice, and I'm getting a lot of nods over here from Amber, but you've probably gotten to meet some very cool people, and probably when you sit down with coffee, it's like we were doing this morning. Oh, so and so, because you knew a lot of people in building, so you probably, a lot of these folks know a lot of the same people you never would have met or never would have taken advantage of had you not done this. And it takes a little stepping out, it takes work, right? Because that handwritten note, that can easily sit there on the corner of the desk and you not do it for a while. But if you actually get in there and do that and make that happen, it does make a big difference.
And the thing about it is the people you meet might not be your customer, but they know your customer.
Right.
There's a book called Endless Referrals, and in that book he talks about the rule of 250. And on average, everybody in this country knows 250 people that know, like, and trust them. So if you're talking to people, even if they're not your customer, they know your customer.
That's pretty cool. But you're a nice guy. People like you anyway, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can attest to that as well. So nice seeing you. Nice having you on the air with us this morning.
Thanks, Al.
Really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to ask you the same thing, Miss Nelson, because you're sitting there, and absolutely, you can, we talked about it earlier, you can read those emails or they can sit in your inbox.
Right.
You can take advantage of the chamber. But how about you? You said at B&I, you never thought you'd be on the radio because you were kind of, I don't want to use the exact, I think I just picked up maybe shy, maybe a little bit, not going out and being the first one in the room to shake the hand or say hello. And now you are doing that. How many people have you met that have really, maybe you established and you now would consider a friend? Or maybe people now that would you consider a great client that you never would have met before had you not taken that first step and gotten up and gone out and made the effort to move ahead?
Oh, there's so many people.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been thoroughly enjoyed working with, like, getting more involved with the chamber. I was already starting going to ribbon cuttings before I became an ambassador.
Right.
And I was like, well, might as well do be an ambassador too if I'm going to do ribbon cuttings and stuff. And, it's all about, like Dean said, making connections and relationships. Like, you want to be there for the community and be able to help them. And, you're not just trying to make a sale.
How many people have you, and I'm not going to ask for any personal occurrences, but how many people may have said, you're meeting, you're talking, and they may have said, and I'm just going to use this example, it doesn't have to be this one, but you fill in the blank. Really nice meeting you, thanks, you've done a great job on the, we're thinking about maybe some of that LPV for our home, maybe thinking about redoing our floors. Do you know a guy? And you're able to say, I know a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Dean Pritchett, and he's the guy that you want to go to, and you're able to make those referrals. It may be for a carpet, or it may be but by doing that and plugging in with the chamber, you're able to talk to other people, not maybe just about your place of business, but other places. Mm-hmm. And that's happened to you before?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And on the other side, how many of you have had a phone call and said, Dean Pritchett Chamber said I need to call you, or somebody at the chambers?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of people that have called me saying, hey, I've heard about your business from some so-and-so,
right.
and they wanted to learn more about what I do, and maybe I can help them.
Would you consider this a vital part of your business, is getting out there and doing the marketing and the advertising? I would think it's got to be.
Yes, it is a very vital part of my business.
Let's give the last word this morning to Dan, who I've not talked to a lot this morning. I wanted to give the mics to the Chamber Ambassadors. So let's wrap up this morning. Tell me, if you would, please, maybe some closing remarks about people who heard this morning and maybe thinking about starting a business.
Well, thank you, Hal. Thanks for having us, and what a great job these two individuals have done.
Absolutely.
They're wonderful ambassadors and great business owners. I would say if you're thinking about starting a business or growing one, there are free resources available right here in our community, and they've already mentioned them. The Small Business Center, the SBTDC. You can access entrepreneur resources on our website, catawbachamber.org, and resources like the Startup Catawba County Digital Toolkit. That's a great place to start. The biggest thing is use your network. Come ask us. We'd be certainly glad to help point you in the right direction.
I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning and staying over. Dan Swan, Dean Pritchett, Amber Nelson, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Continued success to all of you. Thank you for being our guests.